Hello, and welcome back to a history of saps, blackjacks, and slungshots. It's been a little while, so this is my newest one here. This is by Scott Foster, and it is a recreation of a Bucheimer 7982. This is a classic modern blackjack, meaning it's a coil spring there in the center, has a solid cylindrical head, and it's got that great antique look. This is a brand new one, but it's got that antique oxblood leather. Looks absolutely gorgeous. And the 7982 is basically a smaller version of the 7980, same shape, much smaller. So back like in the mid-20th century, this generally ran around 6¼ inches and 6 ounces. So it's on the smaller side for a blackjack, but it pops a wallop. And now that we've seen it up and down, let's take a look at that leather. This is at 10 times magnification. This is the striking head, the slug, and it is stitched, but unlike a conventional sap or more old-fashioned sap, we don't have to worry about it coming apart at the seams and just bursting open, because it's basically a solid piece of metal inside there. And here's the braiding on the shaft. And that's a touch that would often get noted in like the old detective stories. So now let's take a look from afar here. So it's funny, see, it's a small jack, like I mentioned. See how long that lanyard is, right? Because the jack itself is not that big, so it fits in your hand really easily. And that's the beauty of the blackjack. A little snapping motion and still enough to jar and maybe even break bone. So here are two of the smallest saps from my collection. The flat sap, it's from Green Man Leather, and the fatty from D3 Protection. And those are the smallest ones I had before this. Look how small this is, but it really hits more than hard enough. And look at the thinness of the profile. So you're going to be hard-pressed to beat this when it comes to this model, when it comes to carrying convenience. And that's why blackjacks can be kind of scaled down like this, you know? And then, right, there's that roll grip. We've talked about that in past videos, so now I've got a nice secure grip. I'm going to let at least one finger, maybe two, come off the end of this. I think it feels much better that way. And I've got my shots, but I much prefer just these straight up, you know, wrist all the way through use of the lanyard. As we've talked about in the past, with any blackjack, I can grab it right in the middle, and I've got a jabbing instrument, more of a capoeira, right? And that's going to hurt. That has extra mass. That big lead striking head. I mean, it's going to work. But then you're really missing out on the point of the design of the blackjack in the first place, right? Well, you know, rumor has it was meant to be a kinder, gentler club, but anyway, the real effect of it is that it's a force multiplier. And you don't get that if you're not swinging it. So here's an antique, Bucheimer 211, which is not considered a big sap, and just again, point of comparison on the size. And here's an antique Smith & Wesson style, not actually by Smith & Wesson. This might be my favorite flat sap, but anyway, B96L, so large. And that's a thin, easy to carry flat sap. And again, just, you know, dwarfs the 7982. I talked about how this small blackjack can do the job with its limited size, so let's test. And that hurt a lot. And again, you know, from past videos, the load wants to catch up to the swing. It falls behind, and the spring accelerates it, moving it up. And then there's a much bigger strike there. Speaking of the spring, look at that flexibility, right? I'm really starting to enjoy these smaller blackjacks. They feel light in the hand, really responsive. You know, the classic blackjack is probably a convoy. It's 16 ounces. This is like 6, so it's well over double, and that's great, but you feel it. I've talked about the lanyard before, but I don't think I've ever actually done a full demonstration. So as we trace out the history of these, you know, I'm swinging, right? Fighting, if necessary, doing what I need to do, but there's the point of the lanyard, right? You lose your grip, it didn't fall to the floor, and it's one quick snag away. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of this, but I didn't see it anywhere else either. Bam! Right? From losing the weapon just to a full power swing without having to even establish the normal handhold. Did that make sense? Lots of weapons have had that retention system throughout history, but like a battle axe or a warhammer, you can't do that, right? It's just too heavy, too big. Another unique feature and selling point throughout history for these weapons was the quick draw. So it's small, it's light, I can swing it out. This model here, I'll use just 2 fingers through there. Here's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu grappling gi, so they're real thick and padded. And here's a strike from my back pants pocket where I never even grabbed the shaft. There. Just immediately call it into use. So that's the 7982. Here it is with a 1960s Bucheimer catalog, and you can see it right there on the right. You see the 79, 80, and 82. Great little blackjack, fearsome weapon despite its small size, maybe even more so because of it. And that's emblematic of our weapons family overall. See you next time. Thanks.